Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us this morning. You are warmly welcome to the second in our Meet the Developer series. Today, we are going to have a conversation about how we can make home ownership a more accessible journey for scheme members and Ghanaians at large. Today, our discussion will be centered around how we can use Easy Homes to access housing at Pokuase Heights. And to have this discussion with me today, I have two gentlemen. I would give the floor to the first gentleman to introduce himself, and then we can get the ball rolling.
Sonia, good morning, everyone. So my name is Evans Oseusu. I'm the home sales manager for Petra. And today, myself and my team will be looking at how best we can assist you to acquire Pokuase Heights. I hope we have a fruitful conversation. My expectation is pretty much simple, that you understand what the Easy Home product is all about, what the financing options are available to you, the kind of properties you get from Pokuase Heights, and then pretty much you get an opportunity to become a homeowner the foreseeable. Thank you very much, Sonia.
Thank you very much, Evans, for that warm introduction. We're very grateful to have you here. We know your time is very valuable, so we try to make the most of it today. As you mentioned, we will be having a discussion about Easy Homes, but we will also be talking about Pokuase Heights. I'm sure that's why a lot of you have joined us today. And so before we start talking specifically about Pokuase Heights, Evans, can you tell us a little bit about why we are doing this in the first place? What are some of the reasons that Ghanaians find it difficult to access housing in today's market?
Okay, great. So as we are all aware, there's a housing deficit of 1.8 million. Now that clearly tells us that there's a huge opportunity out there. And again, since there's opportunity, there are also some challenges the ordinary Ghanaian is facing, right, in acquiring homes. Now, with regards to affordability, right, the kind of properties that are out there, a bit pricey, the payment options available, is it out of their reach? They don't really have that idea as to what really works for them. Again, when it comes to due diligence, we've had instances in the past where people acquire homes, lands, what have you, and then there are litigations and all that. So it's on this premise that we are trying to educate the ordinary Ghanaian, in this case, all Petra scheme members, as to what we have brought in to help solve these challenges.
That sounds very daunting. The ability of Ghanaians to actually begin their home ownership journey. It sounds quite daunting, and I'm glad we're having this conversation to help people appreciate what we have put together for them in order to achieve this goal of home ownership. For our viewers out there, if you have any questions as we go along, please feel free to drop them in the chat section. We will do very well to address them as we go along. We'll also share some content there that we'd like for you to engage with, so keep an eye out for that. I'm happy to see that our second speaker, Mr. Kofi Anku, has joined us, and I'd like to give him the opportunity to introduce himself as well. So Kofi, please go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself and why we're here today.
Hi, Sonia. Can you hear me?
Yes, Kofi, we can hear you.
Okay, fantastic. Evans, thank you for the initial remarks. Wonderful to join you all today. My name is Kofi Anku. I am CEO of Pokuase Heights, which is a moderately priced development in the Pokuase area. I have actually been working in real estate for the last 25 years in various capacities. I think some of you may know our development that we did called Aimensa Park, which is a 200-unit development, mostly townhouses, and Aimensa, which is right at the base of the hill before you climb the mountain to Ipuri. So those were kind of more upscale. Probably the average unit is around just under 200,000 USD. 2-bedroom townhouses, 3-bedroom, and also 4-bed. We did do a few condos in that development, but it kind of set a different standard. So the challenge for us on the back of Aimensa Park was, could we do something that was more affordable for a wider segment of the market? I shy away from the term affordable housing because the question always begs the answer, affordable to whom? Or begs the question. And I think in our market, it's difficult for people to own their own homes and buy developer product, given the salaries that we receive in Ghana. And also the fact that mortgages are expensive. So we certainly can reduce the cost of houses in Ghana, but oftentimes there's a bit of a disconnect where the people that want the affordable houses aren't necessarily the people who can afford them. So it's not a linear demand that you can put a product out there and find that, well, yeah, you've got a house that you can sell for $20,000, but the people that can afford them can't necessarily buy them. The people who can buy them can't necessarily, don't necessarily want them. So it's a challenge. So we're just trying to find the sweet spot. I think we've achieved something that's getting a good reception in Pokuase. A very high standard of finish at a moderate price. One of the things that we've also done in Pokuase is we've offered a shell home. So just studying the market, what we've noticed, Evans, is that a lot of folks tend to not buy from developers. They actually develop their own homes. And I would say that's 95, maybe 98% of the market. They're building their own homes. So what we've done with the shell home is try to find a developer intervention where we build the shell of the house. From the outside, it's completely finished. It's roofed, it's painted, it's landscaped, but on the inside, it's raw. So it allows the buyer to put in their own tiles, do their own kitchen counters, their own wardrobes, put in their own lights, sanitary ware, and it allows them to basically save some of that upfront initial cost and spend the money to finish the unit in their own time to their own taste. So that's one step we've made. The Pokuase Heights, we have tried to embrace a generosity of space. The rooms are big. It doesn't feel claustrophobic. You don't feel like you're making a trade-off on the space you have inside the unit, even though you're paying relatively less than you would, say, other developments. So we're getting folks in at a price point of $42,000 on the shell.
Okay, that is a very comprehensive introduction to our discussion today. Thank you so much for that, Kofi. One thing I'm taking away from this is how well versed you are in the real estate space in Ghana, which brings me to the question of what Ghanaians need to consider when they're searching for a home to buy or when they're building their own homes. As you mentioned, say about 90% of Ghanaians typically would build their own homes. That's what we've traditionally been used to. And so as a first-time home buyer or home builder, what should we be considering when looking for a house or building a house?
Well, there are tons of factors one needs to consider. I think the first is the land tenure. Land tenure in Ghana is a notorious wealth destroyer for people. I don't need to belabor the point because I'm sure that everybody has been affected by it, or has a loved one and or a close associate has seen the pain and agony that the land tenure system in Ghana can wrought. So we'll start there. The second one, and we're actually seeing this globally, it's not unique to Ghana. Interest rates have shifted, and lots of buyers. I was actually just doing a review on the market in Canada, and even in Toronto, there are a lot of folks that are under mortgage stress because they've bought properties that they found out they couldn't afford once the interest rates moved from 1% to 5%. It doesn't sound like a lot, but if the underlying asset is valuable and expensive, those mortgage rates essentially, and if you think about it, but oftentimes people are paying more than double than what they expected to pay. So I would caution being very circumspect, making sure that you're not taking on more debt than you're comfortable with, because I think we're generally in a period of economic uncertainty, which I think the instinct is to secure your future by buying a house, but you want to make sure that you're not overstretched. So I think that's probably the second one. And then, there are other considerations. And I think buyers are quite savvy, know what they're looking for in terms of location. They've figured out schools, transport links. So they're thinking about how they're going to move around. I think just kind of more from a philosophical perspective, it's also important to think about what the motivation for the purchase is. There is an idea of investing into the future. People think of their home as an investment. And I think it's important to kind of distinguish between the functions of that investment. Are you buying shelter for yourself and your family? Are you buying an asset that you expect to cash flow, which is very different? Very, very different. Are you making a speculative investment in hopes that that asset will appreciate significantly?
Okay.
There's nothing
Seems
wrong
like
with doing
there's a lot to think about.
Yeah, that's a different sort of thing. That's actually our family invested heavily in real estate in Ghana in the mid-90s. Bought thousands of acres, and that was largely a speculative investment. Not unwise, and certainly has been a lucrative investment. But one of the things in Ghana is that we've got a very youthful population and a growing population. So if you've got a safe investment, it's difficult to go wrong in real estate.
Okay. Sounds like real estate runs in the blood for you. Okay. For first-time home buyers, the considerations are many. It's pretty obvious, but again, the most significant challenge I was picking up from what you were saying, Kofi, is the land tenure system in Ghana and how we need to find investments in land that are actually worth our time, rather than finding something which is prone to litigation, among other issues, right? And so how does this conversation with Petra Evans, how does that address some of these situations? What has Petra done to get to the point where we can say that we can help our customers to actually acquire homes in a way that is easy and sustainable for them?
Okay, thank you, Sonia. So for me, where I'm sitting, it's pretty much very simple with the Easy Home product, right? So we are looking at how you can leverage on your accrued benefits to go in for an outright payment. That's one, outright purchase. Or the other financing option is the mortgage route. Okay, so with some of the partnerships we have, i.e. with Pokuase Heights, I mean, it's pretty very simple for you to walk in Petra and then acquire a home. There's something Kofi said that I want to add on is that in looking for some of these properties, you should also look at the developer's track record. I'm glad Kofi has been doing this for 25 years. It's something most people don't really look at when they are buying homes. He's been in the industry for 25 years, so he knows what it takes to put up quality structures. Again, he mentioned location. For me, location, it goes beyond the proximity and all that thing, right? I'm also looking at the climate in that area. How clean is that area? I don't know if you realized with Mensa, most of the growing middle class is moving towards that side of town. Why? Because the climate relatively is cleaner than the urban cities, right? So if you're considering some of these things, if you're somebody who's so keen when it comes to healthy living, I believe this is some of the things you should look out for. Again, if you're looking at social capital, who's your next door neighbor, right? Most people don't really consider some of these things when they're buying homes. And for that, they want to build in certain locations. But if you know who your next door neighbor is, as maybe a lawyer, as someone who you can leverage on in the foreseeable for other things, it's worth that money. 42,000 USD for a share home within Pokuase Heights. I think it's super cool. It's a good investment for whoever is looking at some of these two things. I've been to Pokuase Heights myself and my team. I mean, the climate there is very conducive if you're looking at healthy living, breathing in good air and all that. And then the vegetation around too is very, very wonderful, Mr. Kofi. You've done really well. So with Petra, the Easy Home is pretty much simple. Walk into our space. If your pensions that you've accrued is capable of you acquiring a home, the 42,000 USD today, an outright purchase, Petra is more than willing to assist you. If you also want to go with a mortgage route, we are also more than willing to assist you. So for me, Sonia, that's what I would say when it comes to how Petra is playing a role in making home ownership pretty simple for the average Ghanaian.
Okay, sounds good. And is this an option that is available to anyone, or there are some eligibility criteria that you need to fulfill in order to access the Easy Homes product?
Okay, so with the Easy Home products, pretty much there are vehicles that you need to be on in terms of the Petra Advantage scheme, which we all know as a Tier 2. And then we also have the Petra Opportunity Pension Scheme, which we all know as the PF or the Tier 3. So once you are on these two schemes, you're good to go. For persons who do not have these two schemes, there's also the alternative of the Savings Booster account, which is similar to the Petra Opportunity Pension Scheme. So you can leverage on these vehicles to qualify for the Easy Home and become a homeowner in Pokuase Heights.
So sounds simple enough. You need to just have one of these three accounts that you mentioned, either through your employer or personally. You can open a savings booster account and then you can have access to this product. So really, the conversation today is about Pokuase Heights and how Petra can help you access Pokuase Heights. So I'm sure our viewers who have joined us want to know, Kofi, tell us a little bit about how Pokuase Heights came to be, how it's structured, the costs, the where it actually is, because that is important for a lot of people. They want to know where the development actually is, the kind of social capital that you are buying into if you buy a home at Pokuase Heights. Like Evans mentioned, it's important to know who your neighbors are. So tell us a little bit about Pokuase Heights, how it came to be, and what people should expect when they buy into that community. Hi, Kofi. I think you're muted.
Oh, thank you, Sylvia. Yeah, so Pokuase Heights, it's very close to a neighborhood you probably are familiar with called ACP. So we actually share a boundary with them in terms of land, which is beautifully done. It's kind of a mature development that has been set up a while ago. One of the really exciting drivers for value from an investment perspective for Pokuase Heights is the interchange. We've got a $70 million bit of infrastructure that is literally 2 kilometers from Pokuase Heights. So I think these are one of the reasons why we're excited about the location. We needed to find that sweet spot where we could get land that was relatively inexpensive to allow us to build a typology that made sense for the type of product that the house is. So it is a bungalow, and it allows for expansion. It's a 2-bedroom expandable bungalow. We do sell 3 bedrooms, 3-bedroom bungalows as well. One thing that I realized at Mensa Park was that the 2-bedroom mid-terraces, the townhouses, it was impossible to access the backyard without going through the house, which I found a bit inconvenient. So what we did at Pokuase Heights to improve on that is just to make all the units semi-detached. So you can actually walk around your house, get to your backyard. You've got a little kitchen yard off the back of the kitchen, which is convenient. Oh, great! There's a little video I think that we can see. That's the interior. There are a number of features that we've added. One is that the unit is fully insulated. So there's actually insulation in the walls. There's polystyrene in the walls, the same thing you find in the cooler. There's insulation in the ceiling to keep the houses cool. We've also used a UPVC roofing sheet, which further insulates the house. And unlike a metal roofing sheet that just radiates heat into the house, the UPVC insulates the house from the heat. In terms of the environmental impact, we also have the solar feature. So anything that we could throw in to make the house a bit more convenient, we try and put that in as a standard part of the package. So with the fully finished units, we've got a solar unit. So you've got a modular system that includes a solar panel, a battery, and an inverter. So that when ECG cuts out, that you've got a backup power supply to get you through the evening. The other consideration that we try and do with these units is to patronize as many made in Ghana goods as possible to help us keep the cost down and deliver on good quality. So just looking at the house, we've purchased tiles that are actually made in Takoradi. Very proud of that. Our windows are produced locally. When we do use imported materials, we import them ourselves, which helps us to reduce the cost. So we've got local producers who work with us on wardrobes, and also all of the kitchen units are made locally. Our paints are purchased locally as well. And then any of the engineering work that we do everything in-house, which helps us keep the cost down. So we're not using third-party contractors, so we know exactly what's in the homes and can attest to the quality.
Sounds very interesting, actually. Kofi, the video we are seeing, the houses are furnished or they are not furnished. You didn't mention. So tell us a little bit about what someone should expect when they walk into a unit.
Sure. What we do is we everything that you see in the video, the furniture is we acquired from Asheville, which so they make the mattresses, which you're probably familiar with, but they also do some really nice furniture. So the furniture does not come with the house, but we have had buyers request to purchase furniture packages from Asheville, which include beds. What we found is a lot of our buyers just want turnkey solutions. They want to reduce the amount of stress that comes into acquiring a home. So they want, you know, the wardrobes, which are included in the fully finished price, and then the furnishing that they can go into Asheville, select what they want, and have everything delivered as a package to their home.
Okay, sounds good. So essentially, they're going to get standard 2-bedroom homes that they can expand into 3-bedrooms because there's extra space on the property.
Exactly.
Great. So I see there are green spaces, there are cemented spaces. I wanted to know, it's a community setting. Is there any other amenity that the buyers should expect when they move into the place? For example, are you providing garbage disposal, community centers, etc.?
Sure. So we start with I think there was just a quick flash of the image of the gate. So all the enclaves are gated. And at Pokuase Heights, either it's an enclave of 24 units or of 12 units. So to date, we've got 3 enclaves or 3 phases. So you've got that community security aspect. The other thing that we've done is we've created a community water supply. So in phase 2, we've got actually all of the phases have boreholes, and we've got non-chemical water treatment. We found that there was a significant amount of iron in the water. So we have basically engineered a solution to filter the water and also elevate it. So when you buy a house, you don't now have to buy your own poly tank and erect that behind your house, which is the norm in Ghana. We provide that as a service to the whole community. So that's how we sort out the water. You're not having to truck in water, which is something that often the neighbors are doing in the area, because in Pokuase it's not actually covered by Ghana water supply. The other thing that we have is a biodigester, so that you don't have to empty your septic tank and pay for that charge. So there's an environmental benefit to not having to truck water in and truck waste out, which comes as one of the amenities. So those are the kind of 3 key features: is the community water supply. You've got the biodigesters that are installed in every house, and also the community security feature with the gate. Each house has,
okay. You were saying?
Each house has a covered porch, so there's outdoor living space. There's also a backyard, and everything comes landscaped.
Okay, it sounds like eco-friendliness was a big theme for you when you were putting this together.
It was. I mean, I think a lot of times these are things that actually add value to the homes. And if you know what you're doing, they're not that expensive to provide. So a lot of these things I think you could think about on the front end, and then you're providing value on the back end. But in terms of the neighborhood, It's literally about a 4-minute walk from Fayette Hospital, which is a lovely community hospital that was founded by the former CEO of Pokuase. So we're thrilled to have that kind of serendipitous amenity in the neighborhood.
I'm sure there are good schools in the area as well, and the Pokuase interchange is also pretty close by. So we're not talking about somewhere inaccessible. So for all our viewers, please know that it's, as Ivan said, it's a very serene, very quiet, very impressive neighborhood that Kofi and his team have built out in Pokuase. So, Kofi, if I want to buy a unit at Pokuase Heights, what do I have to do? What is the process like? And what kind of payments terms do you accept at Pokuase Heights?
Sure. So I think one of the challenges to affordability is payment terms. Most places in the world, there are a lot of buyers, large percentage of buyers are able to spread payments over 10 years, sometimes 15, 30 years. In Ghana, the mortgage market is quite small, difficult to qualify for mortgages. So what we've done as developers is offered 2-year payment plans. So that allows people to make a deposit upfront and then pay for up to 24 months a monthly deposit. So that depends on whether it's a two-bedroom or a 3-bedroom, or whether it's a shell version or fully finished. We've got plans for cash buyers. We've got plans for 6 months, 1 year, and all the way up to 24 months.
Sounds good. So Evans, I suppose Easy Homes allows people to do both options as indicated by Kofi.
Yes, Sonia. Yes. So Easy Homes also allow our employees or the average Ghanaian to also acquire Pokuase Heights. Yes.
Okay. So if I understand you, you can do the outright purchase version if you have enough funds in your pensions accounts, or you can also do the mortgage routes using the Easy Homes partners as well. Or you can even probably try and do a mix of both. You pay parts through your pensions and then you get a mortgage and pay the rest. Is that right?
Yes, it is. We even have a success story like that on our desk. We have about 2 of them like that. We were looking at getting Pokuase Heights in the first year.
Okay, sounds good. So Kofi, the land tenure system was an issue, as you mentioned earlier. And so just to clarify for the benefit of our viewers, for Pokuase Heights, when someone buys, they are sure that the land is going to be transferred into their name with all the appropriate documentation will be done, and there's not going to be any issues when it comes to ownership of the home, right?
Sure. Yeah, we've actually had a land title certificate covering this property for over a decade. Our first business was actually in acquiring land, securing it, and selling basically service plots to individuals. So since then, we've now moved more into a developer role. So we do understand how to navigate that system. Just to kind of break down the process, what we do is when you make the deposit, when you express the interest in the property, we prepare a sales contract. And that's the first document that's exchanged. So it has all of the details of the buyer and describes the property and all the terms and conditions around sale. So after that is duly executed by both parties, payments made, then once payment is finished, right, we present the buyer with the site plan and a executed indenture. Then it becomes the responsibility of the buyer to register that document on the Lands Commission. And then if they can also transfer the title from us with those documents into their name, and they'll be awarded a land title certificate by the Lands Commission.
Okay, so what I hear is you'll make every documentation they need available for them to do the various, to go through the various processes to switch the land into their name, rather than just leaving it open and hoping things get figured out one way or another, right?
Exactly.
Great. Sounds very, very, very useful for our scheme members. And so I just want to encourage everyone who's watching us at the moment to please feel free to drop your questions in the chat section. We will do well to address them. I've seen a few. We will get to the Q&A section very soon, and we will address each and every one of them. Also, we will be sharing a link in the chat section for those who would like to visit Pokuase Heights, experience the communities for yourselves, so that you can put in your details and then sign up for that experience. If you'd like someone to call you to give you further information, we would also be happy to do that. So please feel free to visit the chat section and then put in your details, put in your questions, and visit the link as well. Thank you so much. So back to our line of questioning. The conversation is going, I'm enjoying this, so I don't want to stop, but I'm sure very soon we'll be wrapping this up. Comparing Pokuase Heights to other residential developments, I'm sure the viewers are wondering what the cost is. We've mentioned the cost for a shell home, Kofi. What's, in terms of cost, are we looking at for the completed 2-bedroom units that can be expanded to 3 bedrooms, and then the completed 3-bedroom units as well? What are we looking at? And I'm sure you can give us a sense of what other developments, similar developments, would cost in this housing space in Ghana as well.
Sure. So fully finished, the 2-bed sells at 55,000 USD. Payable, of course, in CD equivalent. And then fully finished, the 3-bed sells for 72. So
if you please say it again,
important.
I don't think everybody got it, because I'm sure
Sure.
they're thinking this doesn't sound right.
55,000 USD for the 2-bedroom, expandable. And now it's important that you're also comparing like for like, right? Our 2-bedroom expandable, you've got actually have 2 bathrooms. You've got a shared bathroom, kind of a guest bathroom, and then also a ensuite master bathroom. And you've got about a 95 square meter footprint. So there are houses in the market that are selling 2-bedroom houses. Some of the prices are decent, but then when you actually get into the units, you might be looking at 65 square meters, which is a big difference.
Okay, so for our viewers, Kofi mentioned 55,000 USD for the 2-bedroom unit expandable to 3. And then Kofi, you said 72.
72.
Yes, for the 3-bedroom unit. They don't come furnished, but they do come finished. For the shell homes, the prices are a little lower, but for the fully finished houses, not furnished, we're looking at $55,000 CD equivalent, and then $72,000 CD equivalent. So again, the units are limited, I believe, Kofi, and so our viewers are encouraged to make a decision now, make a move, and approach Petra. We would facilitate the entire process and help you acquire a unit at Pokuase Heights. As I mentioned, there's a link in the chat where you can book site visits so that you can go see for yourselves. You don't have to trust everything we said here. You can actually visit and see people living in Pokuase Heights today. So just to tie our conversation together, right? In terms of the Easy Homes product, Evans, again, we have the option of using mortgages to acquire Pokuase Heights, Kofi is happy to accept that. And then we also have the cash option as well, which you can still use your pension account to purchase, right? And so the down payment conversation is not difficult or as difficult a conversation as it used to be today, back in the day, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So at this point, there are a couple of questions that both you and Kofi should probably be attending to. So let me just delve right into that. So for my first question, I believe it's from Kamal. Kamal wants to know why the real estate companies charge in dollars, although we make our money in cedis in this country. So Kofi, I'm sure this one it's right at you. Why are you pricing your homes in USD when in this country, obviously, we earn our incomes in cedis?
I think it's a very valid question, and it's something that we grapple with in the industry. Left to our own devices, we'd be happy to charge in CDs, but in order to maintain those prices, given the volatility of the CD, we would either need to charge more than we charge for the dollar price, so that we are hedging against the CD risk, which makes the houses even more unaffordable. So, and also, you're essentially talking about a long-term asset where people are paying over a period of 24 months. So even the government projects, I know that there was a recently released project with the government, and they had branded it as an affordable housing community. The prices were in dollars.
So even the government does this. How much more the developers who are private citizens, right? The other thing Kamal wanted to know was, no, I don't believe it. Yes, it's Kamal. So Kamal mentioned that he has only a tier 2 account with Petra, and he wants to know if he's qualified to use the tier 2 account in order to access a home at Pokuase Heights. So even see if he can help us here.
Hello. I think Angela's yeah, can you thank you. So come on, yes, you can use your tier 2, like I mentioned earlier in my submission, that these are one of the vehicles that you can use. Right. So all you need to have is 60% of the amount that Kofi has just mentioned, tell the property price in your tier 2, then we are good to go. So we can also do a combination of your tier 2 and your tier 3, where after the 60%, you can take a mortgage and 40% to acquire these properties. You can also do a combination of your personal funds, where we do a down payment to reduce it, then take it. So yes, you can use your tier 2 to acquire this.
It looks like Kamal had a few. He was the only one interacting with us. I'm sure other people have questions, so please feel free to drop them in the comment section. Should I say the chat section, not the comment section? So Kamal wanted to know the pricing differences between the furnished and furnished homes. Like I mentioned, the homes, or like Kofi mentioned, the homes do not originally come furnished. And so the prices that we mentioned earlier are the finished home prices and not the furnished home prices. So 55,000 USD for the 2-bedroom home, expandable to 3 bedrooms, and then $72,000 for the 3-bedroom home, finished, not expandable. Kofi, if you would like to chip in the prices for the shell homes once again for the clarity of our viewers.
Sure. So the shell house for the 2-bed is 42, and then for the 3-bed it's 58.
Sorry, I think we lost you for The last bit, the 3-bed is
58.
58. Okay, so for our viewers, those who want to do the shell option, where the outside is totally finished and the inside is up to your customization, that's the price you should be looking at, 42 and then 58,000 for the 2 and 3 bedroom units, right? Kofi, just to be sure, for customers who want it to be furnished, you have the ability to help them furnish it at an extra cost as well, right?
Absolutely. So what we typically do is we just send them to the Ashcombe showroom, and they can select the colors and whatever items they're interested in. You can look at dining sets. You can look at sofas, mattresses, beds, end tables, all of that. So what we do provide standard in the fully finished unit is the wardrobes and a completed kitchen.
Okay, sounds good. Jeff would like to know whether you can have a joint application with your spouse through Easy Homes. He specifically mentioned the tier 2 of his spouse. Evans, can you assist us with that?
Okay, Josh, thank you, Sonia. So yes, with the joint application that is allowed, you can do a joint application to access a home, right? For me, I even encourage couples to go that route. Not only are you accessing these properties, but then you have more affordability in terms of the amount that you can get. Again, in terms of the duration for your mortgage, if you're going that route, you can have more years to that. So yes, joint applications allowed, especially the tier 2. And let me mention this. In the National Pensions Act, I think that's the law actually allows, if you go into section 103 subsection 2, where it allows you to use a part or all of your benefits to acquire a mortgage. So that is on that premise that we are running this Easy Homes. So yes, Josh, you can use a joint application in this sense to acquire a home.
Okay. So yes, you can combine forces with your spouse in order to acquire a home and make the repayments easier on yourself. Like Kofi mentioned, you have to consider how much it will stretch you when you're entering the real estate space. So combining resources or incomes with your spouse is a very important way, or an easier way to attain the goal of home ownership. Kofi, no, actually, Ivat, you mentioned the mortgage options. Can you let us know which mortgage partners Easy Homes gives our customers access to, and what they should expect as part of the mortgage application process?
Okay, thank you, Sonia. So with regards to our partners, in terms of the financing options, we have some banks that we've partnered. We've even signed an MOU with some of these banks, and we're offering one of the most competitive interest rates on the market currently. That is 20.9. However, there are other interest rates that we have on the table. Reason being, there are different preferences. Some wouldn't want to move their bank accounts to a different bank. Others will have turnaround times they are looking at. So we have a bouquet of rates available under the Easy Home. We have 20.9, we have 32.5, we have 26%, we have 24.5, and these partners are Republic, we have Fidelity, we have ABSA, and then we have FNB, SWAL, Ghana Home Loans. So yes, if you're looking at this route, you can speak to any of these partners through Petra, and will help you out. Again, the process, all you need to do is just identify one of the homes or one of the units in Pokuase Heights. Speak to any of our home sale advisors. We'll walk you through the payment plan, walk you through what you should be looking out for step by step, then eventually help you with the payment plan, you acquiring a home at Pokuase Heights. So it's one of the things that we are looking out for. Thank you, Sonia.
Thank you very much, Evans. Jeff came back. He'd like to know whether it's he can use the tier 2 regardless of the pension administrator. So he has a Petra account, a tier 2 Petra account, but his wife doesn't have a Petra account for tier 2. So how will that work out for them if they want to do a joint application?
Okay, Josh, thank you. It's a valid question. I get that all the time. Now, as I mentioned earlier, there are two vehicles we are using. This is exclusively, the Easy Home is exclusively for Petra scheme members. So in this sense, where your wife is not with Petra, the other alternative she can do now is to open a savings booster account, which has similar features as the Petra Opportunity Pension Scheme, and is also exclusively a Petra product. So your wife can have the savings booster account, make a deposit in the two of you can combine your resources to acquire the Easy Home product. Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much, Evans. It seems we've exhausted all our questions in the chat section. Again, the link is there. So you want to visit Pokuase Heights, please feel free to click on that link and put in your details, and we would organize a site visit for you to see for yourself. It's been a very enlightening session, if I might say myself. I've learned a lot about how we can access homes using Easy Homes, and I've seen a lot and heard a lot about Pokuase Heights, and I would definitely wish to own a home there. So Evans, very soon you'll get my application, and Kofi, you'll see me at Pokuase Heights very, very soon.
So I have to interrupt you quickly just to thank Petra and your organization. Again, I've been in this industry for 25 years. I've been appalled at the lack of proactivity in the financial services sector. So it's really encouraging to see your organization rise above the rest and take these very impressive, very proactive steps.
We're very grateful for those kind words, Kofi. We aim to please. We understand that pensions are all fine and good. People need to have some security when they're going home after having worked for so many years. Recently, my mother retired, and she's going home with some cash, no two ways about it. But if she did not have a home that she could call her own, that would have been a significant challenge for her to overcome it. So we know that there are many people who are in our schemes that are like that, who need an actual home that is in their name. And so if that income security is there after retirement, but housing security is not there, you've not acquired a home for yourself, it becomes a significant challenge. And so we took this step to enter this space to help our scheme members. It's fully backed by the pension law, and it's not something we're doing on the blind side of our regulator at all. We hope that others would also come along and make this a better experience for Ghanaians across the country. That being said, Kofi, final words before we draw a curtain on today's session.
It's been fun, Sonia. I think we've covered everything, and I'm really excited about this partnership. And it's great to have a very respected institution enter the fray, and with that customer focus, looking to provide homes for people. Very encouraging.
Okay, and Evans, any last words from you before we close?
Okay, so for me, this to our audience, let's not be traditional. 10 years ago, when we talk about home ownership, we are looking at brick by brick, right? Using our pension funds when we are about hitting pensions before retirement, before we think about building. Today, there's an opportunity for you to acquire a home using your pension. You don't have to wait till you're about retiring. So for me, let us not go the traditional approach. Let us change things by leveraging on our pensions and making good use of the Easy Home product to become homeowners. Thank you, Sonia.
Thank you so much, Ivan. So like Ivan said, you don't have to wait to build a legacy house at retirement. You can start today. You can start with your pension funds. And we were very happy to consult with you to see how we can help you achieve that dream of home ownership. So thank you so much for joining us today. I'm sure this was recorded, and so you can revisit the video in future to pick up any other points that you may have missed during our conversation. Thank you so much. My name is Sonia. I have been your moderator for today. See you again next time.
Thank you, Sonia. Thank you, Kofi, for having us. Have a nice day.
Thank you, Sonia. You too.